Hello, I'm Pablo and this is DevScoops, a rapid show and tell on tools and practices in cloud technology in general. And so if this tickles your fancy, hit the subscribe button. So let's get into it. On this episode of DevScoops, I showed you how to publish a simple React web application using GitHub Pages. Today, I'm going to show you how to deploy this same web application using Firebase. So let's head to my VS Code and start the work. I'm going to use the same repository that I created on publishing my website on GitHub Pages. So let me go to my VS Code terminal and I will run git pull. I'm going to create a separate branch for today's changes. The first thing that I need to do is install the node module called Firebase Tools. And then I'm going to set up the necessary scripts that will contain Firebase specific commands to log in, initialize, and deploy my web application to Firebase. Let me go ahead and run the script to get an authenticated Firebase session. This prompt right here is waiting for me to complete the login process through my web browser. So let me head to my browser. So let me log in using my Google account. And then on this particular prompt, I need to allow Firebase to execute CLI commands through my account. Let me head back to my VS Code terminal. And now on my console is a message that says I have successfully logged in. The next step that I need to do is create my Firebase project. So let me head back to my browser and then go to console.firebasegoogle.com and then follow through the process of creating the new project. With my new Firebase project created, let me go back to my VS Code. I'm all set to initialize my Firebase settings, so I'll run the next Firebase script. I'm going to select this option and press space and then click enter. And then I'll select use an existing project and then select the one that I created previously. I'm going to set this to build. I can start deploying my project to Firebase by running pnpm firebase deploy. With the deployment complete, let me copy this hosting URL and then open my web browser and then access the website. The page is not loading properly as I expected, so let me head back to my VS Code. So if I scroll to the top of this file, this field right here is what's causing the page to not load properly. So for now, let me delete this field, head to my terminal, and redeploy the application. And now let me switch back to my browser and then reload this page. And the page is loading fine. But the problem here is that my GitHub Pages deployment is now broken. So let me go back to my VS Code. At the root of my repository, I'm going to create a new directory called scripts. I'll create a Java script and call it set_homepage.js. I will import the file system module into this script to be able to make changes to my package.json. I'm going to define a mutable variable here and call it homepage. Then I will read the contents of the package.json file through an async call to the read file method. If there is any error in the process, I will spit out the error and stop the process. If there are no errors, I will assign the contents of the package.json into a JSON variable and then set the value of the homepage field to the variable that I defined earlier. And then I will write the contents of the JSON data variable back into the package.json file. So how can I handle the different web hosts? So what I will do is introduce a switch block after the homepage variable, and I will evaluate the value of an environment variable called web host inside the switch block. By default, I won't be doing anything. I will evaluate if the value of the web host is GHP, which is short for GitHub Pages. I will set the homepage variable with the appropriate GitHub Pages URL. The next case expression that I need to set is for Firebase. I'm going to set the homepage to the appropriate Firebase hosting URL. And now all that's left for me to do is update the scripts inside my package.json. Before deploying my GitHub Pages, I will need to run the script that I just created with the web host environment variable set to GHP. And then I will do the same thing for my Firebase deploy, but this time I will set the web host to Firebase. And now let me head to my terminal and then redeploy my Firebase web application. If I go back to my package.json code and check the value of the homepage field, it's set to the Firebase URL. So now let me go to my browser and then reload this page. The page still loads fine. So now let me go back to my VS Code. And then this time, I'm going to deploy on GitHub Pages. And then if I head back to my package.json, the homepage field is actually set using the GitHub pages URL. So let me copy this and then head to my browser and open the GitHub pages URL. Page is also loading fine. And that's it. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Until next time, see ya.